Do you believe everything is already planned? What if a doctor died for 7 minutes and saw the book of the end, the name of a dead president, and a red dawn over the US as a sign of collapse? In today's video, hear the true story of an unbelievable NDE, with visions of wars, seals breaking, and a new spiritual order emerging. Like, subscribe to the channel, and comment on which city you're watching from. Let's spread this message. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Monroe. I'm 47 years old and a neurosurgeon in Seattle, Washington. I've never believed in fate. Science has always been my strength. But everything changed the night my heart stopped for 7 minutes in the middle of the operating room, and I saw what I could never have imagined. I saw the recording of the end, and the most frightening thing, the names were already there. Even the name of a president who hasn't even died yet. It was a cold morning, like so many others during long shifts at the hospital. I was operating on a patient with an aneurysm when I began to feel intense dizziness. I thought it was just exhaustion, but suddenly, everything went dark. My legs gave out, and I fell right there in the sterile room. According to the doctors, I had a sudden arrhythmia, a sudden cardiac arrest, 7 minutes without a heartbeat, 7 minutes officially dead, but I didn't go to nothing. I went till I found myself floating above the operating room, watching my own body being reanimated. That alone would have been enough to shake my scientific logic, but it was only the beginning. A light appeared from the ceiling. Not a physical light, but something alive, intelligent. As I was pulled by it, I lost all sense of time. I found myself floating in a space without matter, without direction. A voice, without sound, without gender, said to me, "You have to see it. It's all written down." As the light enveloped me completely, I felt my body, or what was left of it, being stripped of everything earthly. Fear, logic, ego. It was as if every layer of me was being dissolved, until only what was true remained. I was led into a space that seemed to be beyond all known dimensions. There was no floor, no walls, no ceiling. Everything was made of a living, pulsating golden substance, as if the space itself breathed. In the center of that place, a gigantic book floated, but it was no ordinary book. It was made of light and memory. The pages turned on their own, and each one carried more than words. There were images, sounds, emotions. Each page was a fragment of Earth's future. A presence approached me. It wasn't a man, nor a woman. It wasn't an angel like we see in paintings. It was a consciousness. It said without speaking, "You were chosen to remember, to bear witness, to warn." I approached the book. Each page was a moving vision. I saw modern cities, airplanes, satellites, everything from our time. But I also saw future dates, wars, financial crises, faces of world leaders I recognized, and I saw their names already written there. The most shocking thing was seeing a name that had not yet died. A current, living president. I saw his death. I saw the flag folded over his coffin. I saw the chaos unfolding in its aftermath. Everything it was already planned. It's not punishment, the presence said. It's revelation. It's necessary. The book opened to a page marked with symbols that I understood intuitively. It was the harvest time. Humanity was on the threshold of a collective decision, and if it did not awaken, the 7th seal would open. I saw the seals, 7 lights above the book. 6 were already broken. Only 1 remained closed. When the Spirit's eyes fixed on that last light, the 7th seal, I knew everything that came after was not avoidable. It was inevitable. Not because of divine cruelty, but because humanity's own collective spirit had led the world this far. Free will was exercised, and the fruits were ripe for the picking. The next page of the book took me into a whirlwind of visions. They weren't symbolic, they were literal. I saw buildings crumble in New York after a cyber attack. I saw the global market collapse after the assassination of a European leader. I saw drones invading American cities, silent, programmed not to conquer, but to destabilize mentally. I saw the face of an American president, alive now, dead there. I saw his body being hurriedly removed by soldiers, his face covered, but the features were too clear for me not to recognize. People were shouting in the streets. A civil war was unfolding not with bullets, but with divided minds. And the craziest thing, this was already written. How can all this be foreseen? I asked, even without a mouth or voice. The presence answered within me. Time is not a line, it is a spiral. Everything that is has already been. Everything that will come already vibrates on the invisible plane. Then I understood, was not just a possible future, it was the chosen future. Humanity had written its destiny over the centuries and now reaped the results of every ignored decision, every silenced warning, every sleeping soul. And then I saw the maps, borders disappearing, countries fragmenting, the world being redrawn. But before that, the programmed collapse. I saw the system being shut down, banks blocking access, satellites going down, the internet disappearing. I saw entire families trapped in apartments, confused, without communication, and I saw the media lying until the last second. The page turned by itself. Next phase, the clash of minds. The new vision did not come with images of tanks or planes. It came with silence, with empty stares. It was a different war. It didn't start with bombs, but with thoughts. I saw people walking down the streets like automatons, cell phones in hand, their eyes fixed on something I couldn't see. But then I understood. It wasn't what they saw. It was what they failed to see. The war was psychological, spiritual, a mass reprogramming. A gray field covered entire cities like a scentless, colorless mist. Within it, thoughts were planted, artificial emotions induced. I saw families hating each other without knowing why. I saw parents and children breaking ties over ideas that were never theirs. I saw churches closing their doors for lack of faith. I saw crucifixes being removed from temples and replaced by symbols that no one could explain. The present spoke to me. The new weapon is distraction. The new prison is molded opinion. And then, the worst part, I saw children. Millions of them, hooked up from birth to devices that looked like toys but were actually tools of emotional control. Their souls seemed opaque, as if they'd never had the chance to dream. Some rebelled, but were labeled abnormal, institutionalized, silenced. I saw young people committing suicide en masse, but no one cared. They were treated like statistics. I saw digital influencers being used as puppets, repeating messages created by dark rooms in places they would never be located. I also saw who created all this. They weren't governments, they weren't military, they were faceless entities, powered by an ancient technology, which many would call artificial intelligence, but which was much older. It was the corrupt collective mind. They believe they are in control, the presence said, but they are simply carrying out the plan they themselves helped write. The vision then focused on a crowd looking up at the sky. A red aurora appeared in broad daylight, a phenomenon never before recorded. People cried, screamed, some laughed, others went crazy. It was the sign. The sky was warning, but few understood. The red dawn pulsed like a celestial heart about to burst, and as everyone looked up, I was taken back to the golden room of the book. But now she was different. The walls vibrated with a deep sound, like an ancient drum. The lights flickered. The seventh seal shone brighter than ever, and for the first time, I saw it pulse. It was like a living code, waiting just for a touch, a thought, a collective consent. I saw the presence beside me again. She didn't smile. There was no joy in that moment, only a solemn gravity. Man wrote his sentence with pride and forgetfulness, she said, but the seal will only open if hearts remain asleep. Then, a new page has opened. In it, a map of the planet appeared in spiritual flames. It wasn't physical fire, it was the fire of separation. Each continent vibrated at a different frequency. I saw places where the light had been intentionally extinguished, others where it still lingered. And in the midst of this chaos, 7 points shone on the globe. 7 hidden, discrete communities, almost invisible to the eyes of the world. The scales are still moving, but time is short. The next page was a prophecy in symbols, not letters, not numbers, but images that seemed alive. A crown of thorns upon the earth, a wolf in sheep's clothing at an international summit, a child with starry eyes, holding a small book. And then I saw my own name, not as Elizabeth, but as a symbol, a soul signature. Her presence showed me that everyone who passes through the book room has a role, no matter their profession, age, or belief. If you have been called to see, you have been called to speak. You are a witness. Your mission is not to convince, it is to record. The seal pulsed. It was about to break. I asked in my mind, What if no one listens? The answer came like a whisper of fire. Then everything will be fulfilled as written. But even then, there will be a new beginning. The pages began to glow white. It was the signal that the revelation was over. I was beginning to return. But what I saw next, before I woke up, would give me goosebumps until the end of my life. Before returning to my body, I was pulled into one last vision. It wasn't the book room, nor the field of light. It was a hidden place, a kind of antechamber between the visible and invisible worlds. Dark, dense, filled with floating codes and geometric structures that didn't seem made by human hands. There, a different presence emerged, cold, observant. It was not evil in the classical sense, but indifferent, as if he were just performing a function, without emotion, without compassion. It was the other side of the plan. I saw a black throne suspended in the air. On top of it, a faceless man. His body was perfectly human. He wore a dark suit, but where there should have been eyes, mouth, nose, there was only a smooth, shiny surface, like a mirror. As I approached, the mirror distorted. I saw faces forming, presidents, clergy, business people, artists, a mosaic of human idols. I saw everyone being used as masks by that entity. And then, I heard the phrase, "They won't choose pain, so they'll choose admiration." The faceless figure extended his hand, and a new name shone in the air. A name I recognized, a famous, admired, seemingly good man. But the light around him was false, an inversion. I saw crowds applauding him. I saw world summits crowning him. I saw religions blessing him. And I saw the seal opening exactly on the day of his ascension. I tried to scream, but there was no sound. I tried to retreat, but the vision held me captive. I saw schools teaching a new global ethic. I saw ancient symbols being erased. I saw the cross being replaced by an all-seeing eye, present on buildings, on coins, on screens. Everything seemed peaceful, but behind it, there was control. The presence beside me spoke, "This is the replacement. He won't come with swords, but with solutions. He will be the ideal face for the planned chaos." And then, something even more sinister. I saw the planet itself changing. The colors of nature, the sounds, the frequencies. It was as if the Earth were trying to react, to resist. But the system that man had implemented suppressed even the spiritual pulse of the world. At that moment, I felt my soul being ripped from that place. The voice said to me, "You saw what was not meant to be shown, but now you know, and so will no longer be able to remain silent." I woke up in the hospital with a scream stuck in my throat. The heart monitor was going off. The doctor said I'd been dead for 7 minutes, but I knew 7 minutes in Earth time was an eternity in the book of the end. In the days that followed my return, my mind seemed to be trying to recalibrate to earthly reality, but my soul was still on a different frequency. I saw everything differently. Faces, gestures, even everyday words carried a hidden weight, as if they were inserted within a deeper, older language. During the early morning hours, vivid dreams would take me by surprise, continuations of what was shown to me, but which Earth's time couldn't accommodate. In one of them, I stood before an ancient printing press. Each key I pressed printed snippets of the vision, but as I wrote, invisible hands tried to erase them. I saw ink being absorbed by the paper, as if the world itself were trying to hide what I remembered. "The prophecy will be blocked," said a voice, "not by heaven, but by earth." I understood there that the greatest obstacle to revelation would not be skepticism, but fear. I saw editors rejecting my testimony. I saw digital platforms deleting accounts like mine. I saw people laughing, mocking, calling it delirium, fanaticism, spiritual hysteria. But I also saw something even more disturbing. Some who would believe would be silenced. I saw a man in Europe trying to spread visions similar to mine. He would mysteriously disappear. I saw a woman in the US being forcibly institutionalized for religious hallucinations. I saw entire notebooks burning in a suspicious fire in an Arizona parish. They all had one thing in common, had seen the book. In that same dream, I saw a recurring symbol, a red aurora over the sky of big cities. When this phenomenon occurred outside the polar regions, it would be the beginning of the final cycle. One forced awakening, and then the words of the presence came back with force. Humanity will be forced to remember what it chose to forget. I also saw that a few would be spared not by faith, but by mission to witness. I was one of them, not because I deserved it, but because I was useful. I wasn't a saint, I was a messenger. And before I woke, I saw my own aged face on speaking to a crowd, but the voices around me tried to drown me out. Still, some eyes glowed in the dark. They listened, they knew, they remembered. They were the so-called. The next night, while my body was still recovering from the cardiac arrest, I was overcome by an experience that was neither a dream nor a delirium. It was a partial return, a rescue of something that was left in suspense. I saw 7 people scattered around the world. None of them knew each other. They lived in distant places, a monk in the Andes, a young autistic woman in California, a former Muslim in Lebanon, an elderly blind woman in Russia, an indigenous boy in Brazil, a nurse in Uganda, a street artist in Berlin. They all woke up on the same night with the same vision, the book. They were spiritually connected, like threads of the same invisible web. They were the so-called. Each one carried a fragment of the prophecy, an essential piece to reconstruct the truth before the collapse. I saw their names written in light. I saw their souls pulsating with the same frequency as mine. We were part of the same mission, even without physical contact. At that moment, the presence spoke to me again. The new order will not be created by governments or religions. It will be born in awakened hearts, in the valleys, in the forests, in the ruins. I saw underground cities forming, not out of fear, but out of purpose. Simple people, who would never appear in the media, were the true leaders of the reconstruction. They had ancient memories. They knew how to pray in forgotten tongues. They knew how to plant, heal, and sing with the spirit. Amidst the ruins of civilization, I saw hope. I saw starry-eyed children guiding adults. I saw communities formed by love, not dogma, and none of them had flags, only symbols of light, clasped hands, open eyes, germinating seeds. And then, a phrase echoed with supernatural force within me. The book has been written, but the margins are blank, and in them, the chosen will write the next age. I realized there that although the central events were sealed, the post-collapse was still malleable. The light would win. The question was who would be alive and awake to rebuild it. The red dawn, when it came, would be the last chance for conscious choice for millions. It would be beautiful, and it would be terrible, and time has already started running. The morning after my last vision, I was awakened by something that did not come from outside, but from within. Within, a pressure in the center of my chest. It wasn't physical. It was as if the universe itself was pulsing there. I closed my eyes and returned. Only this time, I wasn't transported to some golden temple or celestial plane. I was taken inside myself. I saw my heart open like a living flower, revealing something impossible. A book. Yes, the same book of light, the one with the 7 seals, with the names, the destinies, the prophecies. But now it was within my spirit. And then I understood what the presence had been trying to show me all along. Each one carries the book within themselves. The question is, who dares to open it? I saw billions of human souls, all connected by threads of tenuous energy. Most slept, others vibrated in conflict, but some shone. And these had something in common. They had been through pain, through breakdown, through despair, and even so, they did not harden. These people were the living pages of the new world. I heard the voice of the presence again. There will be no single savior. There will be witnesses, and each witness will be a broken seal in the darkness. That's when I saw what seemed impossible. The book itself being transcribed into thousands of human hearts at the same time. A silent spiritual download. But there was a catch. I saw faceless demons, dark, sinuous shapes, trying to prevent this inner activation. They whispered doubt, mockery, weariness. They repeated phrases like, "You're making this up. No one will believe you. Better keep quiet." But the souls that resisted these whispers, even trembling, even wounded, received a new seal of light. Then I saw the real secret. The 7 seals are not in heaven. They are in humanity. Each sealing is a collective choice, and the final breaking depends of those who refuse to forget. I cried. I felt an overwhelming weight, but also a peace that cannot be put into words. Because in that instant, I knew the plan was perfect. The pain, the chaos, the war, the false savior, all of this was already foreseen, but they were also already planned. The souls that would wake up, and they would change course, even if it was at the last second. The Red Dawn would be the trigger, but the final answer would come from within. The very moment that truth was impressed upon me, that the seals were within us, I felt as if my spirit had been sealed too, not with weight, but with purpose. The light around me began to dissolve, and the gentle warmth of presence gave way to a denser sensation like someone returning to the surface from the deep ocean. It was then that I saw the last vision. The earth spun before me, shrouded in a reddish glow. The northern light had gone down to the south, like signs that ignored scientific logic. People around the planet looked up at the sky in complete silence. Some knelt, others wept, many ran, trying to hide. But there were those who smiled in peace. They knew. These were the so-called. They were the ones who heard even before hearing. They were the ones who already felt the plan, even without understanding it. And at that moment, something began to vibrate in unison. Not in the sky, not on the ground, but in the hearts, like invisible bells being rung inside. I saw a burst of light coming from the mountains, from hidden forests, from silent deserts, from ordinary homes. Simple people, forgotten people, became human torches, not by magic, but by choice. They remembered who they are. And then I heard, for the last time, the voice of the presence. Now, you have chosen to. Take this with you. Keep what you saw. And when the sky changes color, speak. In that instant, everything disappeared. The room, the book, the planet, and I came back. I woke up in the hospital with tears streaming down my face and my heart monitor beeping frantically. The doctors were in shock. My heart had stopped for 7 minutes. But to me, it felt like an eternity. Since then, I have carried this mission, not to prove, not to convince, but to record. Because everything, absolutely everything, is already written. And when the Red Dawn breaks upon us, you will know. You will know that chaos was part of the plan, that the fall was allowed, and that the rebirth has already begun. You are not alone. You have not been forgotten. You saw it now, through me. If you enjoyed this beautiful spiritual testimony, please leave a like, comment, share your impressions, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to watch each new video and help us spread this message to a greater number of people. Until next time.